Since my arrival, we've still been very acquisitive and very busy. However, I've managed to bring in some additional skills and develop the team because we are now in more of a business partnering role. I think it's fair to say in the business, the finance team were very highly regarded, very valued members of the team. I'm delighted I inherited a very strong finance function. However, they weren't integral in the business, would be my take on things. And therefore, I've taken members of the finance team and I've dropped them into the operational parts of the business so they can actually see the development of that strategy and be part of it. And that's for their development, but actually it's value add to the business because we get more vision in terms of what's going on. At Morris Homes, my job as a divisional finance director was very much to get involved in the operations of the business. Sometimes people are quite sceptical of that because they think we are the bean counters and the bookkeepers and the spies and just want to keep tabs on everybody. But once you get in there and you show them what you can do and how you can help them in their business decision making through providing them with information or keeping them up to date, anticipating things that you can see with your experience and your knowledge coming down the track, and help them achieve their aims, their budgets and targets, then that vision very quickly changes. And I've seen that to a real positive effect at Morris. I loved my time at Morris and it was great. And therefore, bringing some of that to Assura, which is a slightly different business, but ultimately finance can add a lot of value to a business, dropping the teams in terms of data analytics and making also the divisions understand what the pressures are on the finance team in terms of capitalising the business and all of these things and managing the costs and doing it from a group perspective. I actually think it's a two-way street, really. I have always had for a good 10 or 15 years an external facing role. With the exception of my 2 years at Morris, I had an externally facing role. Relationship management is key. We always need to be able to raise debt, we always need to have to manage our auditors and our advisors. And during my time at EMR and at Shearings, I managed a lot of the external relationships. So I managed global banking relationships, global debt investor relationships, and also things like auditors and insurers, etc. And therefore, you have to have those soft skills because, it may sound a little bit trite, but sometimes you have to get those people to work for you. And so you have to manage that and make sure that they have everything that they need. So when you need them, they are there for you. And to be able to bring those to bear from Assura, from an investor point of view, I see it as another external relationship to manage. It is slightly different. Debt providers are probably more cautious and are looking just to keep the business stable and flat and steady as you go, whereas equity investors are looking for growth and a return, etc. So you have to nuance the message is exactly the same, but maybe how you present it could be slightly differently nuanced for each of those stakeholders. So my management style, I believe, is very collaborative. I enjoy team working. I like to empower my team. I don't like a blame culture. We all make mistakes. My view is, I take the view that everybody who comes to work is not coming to work to purposefully make an error, and therefore they're generally quite mortified if they do make an error. So let's see what the problem is, let's sort it out, and then let's review and see how we can stop it from happening again. I feel that's much more proactive and much more helpful than pointing the finger at people and blaming people. So I try and adopt that approach. I really believe in developing my team. I've had to adapt my management style, I think it's fair to say. I'm very fortunate. I had a very fantastic mentor when I joined EMR, my CFO. He was amazing. I learned an awful lot from him. He was always very fair, and I've adopted that. But it is fair to say scrap metal, international scrap metal and house building can be quite harsh environments, and so you have to sometimes be quite direct, otherwise you just don't get heard. And I realised when I joined Assura, so going from private family run or private owner managed businesses where you're sitting with the person who owns the business every day and managing their pennies and their pounds and everything, and you're dealing in quite harsh environments, to then going to somewhere like Assura where it's listed and you have probably much more regulation, many more stakeholders. You have to nuance how you behave and how you deal with the team. I'm a female leader, and a lot is being made in terms of diversity at senior levels, but also making sure that we bring people through, and we have to support them as leaders. We have to support flexible working. I'm a big believer in that. I was very fortunate to have someone who supported me during that time in my career, and that helped so much for me to continue to develop, but I could also be a mum at the same time, and family comes first, and you know, so it's been great to have that balance. But I think there's a lot said in the listed space. We have things like the Hampton Alexandra Review, we have lots of things. I actually think it needs to be the large companies seem to be getting it right or making inroads into it, but it's larger than that. There are so many small businesses that we have to be able to support as well in order to drive this through. Otherwise, you know, we can get it right in all the PLC world and the large business world, but I think we have some cultural challenges across some other areas of business.